This is the Relationship Capital Podcast, where we talk to the top thought leaders and practitioners from around the world about how to grow your most valuable resource, your network. I'm your host, Adrian Chenault, and Relationship Capital is brought to you by your friends at Contact Mapping, the #1 app for building your network. Hey everybody, it's Adrian from Contact Mapping, and I am so happy to have Hayley Hobson here with us to talk about how to build relationships. And you are just a beast at building relationships online, but what I learned a little bit more about this weekend is that you are increasingly doing it offline as well. So what I want to ask you a little bit about, well, first, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
It's good to have you here. So what I want to ask you a little bit about is, thinking about somebody who wants to play bigger in their business and wants to do it the right way when it comes to relationships. What would you say is something that could really help that person to do relationships the right way, but be able to grow their business effectively?
Yeah, I think that so many people have this idea that they are out here in the world to sell something to somebody. And while that is the ultimate goal, to make a living financially, we can't sell anything unless we have what I call relationship marketing. Mm-hmm. And what that means is that you are, first of all, building, and then you are nurturing, and hopefully it's authentic, because people can smell it when it's not. And people have been saying this for so long. It's the know, like, and trust factor. But I think we're moving into an era right now where it's even more heightened, and more people want that even more than they did before. Yeah. There's so many people out there. There's so many people selling. There's so much noise everywhere. Yeah. And we're moving into a culture where people want human connection. Yeah. Yeah. We've moved away from it for like 20 years. Yeah. And now people are moving back, and they want to feel other humans. They want to know that people care about them. Yep. And they want to know that we're out there to really serve their best interests. So that is what connection is. That's what relationship is. And when somebody loves you, they'll do anything. They'll buy anything that you have. Absolutely.
And I went to your event, I guess, a little over a year ago now, which is crazy. So much time. It feels like time's flown so quickly past since then. But one of the things that you said that was really powerful, you were talking about, you're somebody who, from the outside, maybe has this appearance of being really put together, of somebody who's like,
and then from the inside, from when you get to know me, I'm really funny and nice, right?
That's right. But you talked a little bit about that one of the things that you've had to learn in this process is to kind of let that guard down, and not necessarily to be the person who is looking so like put together all the time, and to let people see some of these other sides of your personality. So talk a little bit about how that worked and how that's allowed you to build relationships effectively.
Well, first of all, I think that everybody's got their different brand or image that they want to portray out there. And for me, the image that I do want to portray is somebody that is put together, but there can become and I feel like I am. I'm semi-perfectionist, not quite retired from that yet. And I think that somebody like me, though, who has this image of wanting to be put together and wanting to portray a level of professionalism, it can get to a point where it actually does the opposite for your brand, where people start to look at you and go, oh, I can never be like that. Or they look at you and they can go, oh, she's just too perfect. Or, oh, she's not real. Or she doesn't care. And so I have, I'm an introvert at heart. So it's been hard for me to build relationships and get comfortable with people that I don't know. Right. So as I get comfortable with people like you, or with small groups, I can let more of my personality out. But when I think you're talking about online, it's harder for me because I don't know who's out there and I don't know who's watching. And I have spent probably the last 2 to 3 years just letting and unleashing a little bit more and a little bit more. And I've noticed that when I am more, and I don't mean to say that I'm not real, because what you see really is what you get. But when I talk about the stuff that sometimes people don't like to talk about, like, this parent is sick, or this child is acting like a crazy lunatic, or, I just feed my kid, Pepperidge Farm's goldfish for dinner. What's wrong with that? Or the laundry is piling up to the ceiling, and then I have emotion, and I can be scared, and I can have my own panic attacks, and I can have my own anxieties. And when I can share a little bit more of that, which is uncomfortable to let people in, right? Yes. But it actually lets people in more because they can identify and they can empathize, and then they feel more connected.
Yeah.
When you have the unplugged version,
Totally.
you know.
Totally. And so, as somebody's trying to get started and develop relationships more powerfully, doing it authentically from the get-go, any tips on what they can be doing to generate more connections within wherever, however they're going about doing it? How can people generate more connections in order to start growing their business and widening their sphere?
Well, I think if you're in person with people, it's a lot of the stuff that we have learned and have been learning, like look at somebody, notice them, figure out how you can help them, really notice them, and offer something. But when you're building relationships online, it's a hell of a lot different because you don't know, you can't look in their eyes, you can't touch them, you can't feel the energy. And so it's really branding yourself and figuring out what is the message that I want to get out there? Who do I want to get it out to? Like, who's watching?
Right.
Which specific niche of people do I want to be talking to? Who will identify with me? And then how can I talk to them in a language where they actually feel like I am standing in their shoes? I've been there, I get it, I feel it, I understand, and I can help.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly right. Well, thank you so much. I want to give you one last opportunity if there's any kind of final thoughts you want to share with our audience just about how to really grow and just any sort of wisdom that you want to share. I'll give you just one last sort of parting words of wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I think that I would say still is that I'm still a student of it myself, like I get overwhelmed with humans. Sometimes I get overwhelmed with crowds. I feel overwhelmed in situations where there's a lot of people around me, and I do better when it's quiet and I can connect one-on-one with people. So I have to put myself in these uncomfortable situations myself to try to learn what it feels like. And I noticed too, because I remember standing at I think I was asking somebody for directions the other day, and it might have even been in this hotel. And I noticed that he didn't look at me the entire time. He was looking down, a very nervous kind of personality. And just be okay being uncomfortable. And instead of noticing how it makes you feel, if you try to make somebody else feel better, you're going to be more comfortable.
You get out of your own skin and into theirs a little bit, and that
because everybody feels uncomfortable.
And I think somebody who's achieved as much as you, staying a student, being willing to admit that you still are uncomfortable in certain situations, and like I think that's just a reminder for all of us that everybody's on a journey. It's not like there's these people up here and they've got it all figured out, and I could never be like them. Like, human beings are human beings, whether they're at the top, whether they're just getting started, and we can all relate along the way. And so I think
and when somebody's making a judgment, or when somebody is making a comment about you, it's just because they're uncomfortable. So make them feel comfortable, and then there won't be any judgment.
There you go. Well, Hayley, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it, and this has been really fun.
Me too. Thanks.